Well, hello everybody. Welcome back. Jiu-Jitsu 2000 here today. I'm coming at you with an interesting video for you. Today, I want to show you a very basic figure 4 deadfall trap setup. Let me show you how to make one of these figure 4 deadfalls. I need two tools to do this. I need a good knife and preferably some sort of handsaw. Now the handsaw is not required, but it does make things a lot better, a lot easier. So the first thing I want to do is I want to find a stick that's fairly straight. Now in this video I'm using a stick that is much larger than what I would actually need. I'm doing this because I want to make a very good illustration for you guys to see the notches, so I'm doing it a little bit jumbo. Now normally when I make a figure 4 deadfall trap, the type of diameter of sticks that I like to use are around the diameter of my fingers. So I'm definitely using a much larger piece than what I really need. I'm just going to very briefly clean up this piece of wood. Make sure that all my cuts that I'm making are going away from me. I'm just cleaning this baby up using the spine of my knife or the blade of my knife, either way. And I'm just getting all the little branches and everything off. The first part that we need is the upright, okay? So the upright needs a flat end, and on the other end, the top end of the upright, it needs a 45-degree cut. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to cut this nice 45-degree notch, or cut. Something like this. Now let me take my knife and I'll just briefly clean the top up. So that's what I have right there. The next piece that I need is going to be the top part of the figure 4. This one is going to need a blunt cut at the end. Okay, so it needs just a flat cut, nothing crazy. Okay, again, we're going to get our knife and we're just going to clean it up a little bit. So this piece is just very basic. The flat end is the end that we're going to put into the bottom piece. But before we do that, we want to make a notch, a 7-notch if you will, that we can stick this piece into. So it needs to be that same angle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go 90 degrees and I'm going to go about halfway through the material here. Nothing too crazy. I'm just going to go about halfway through. Something like that. And then I'm going to butcher my notch towards the groove that I cut out. It's a very basic setup, very simple notch. So we have something that looks like this. Now the idea is that these two pieces will fit together like that, right? Now I need to flip this over and put the long version over there because this is going to be my trigger over here. And I need to measure about how long I want my trigger to be. So let's make our trigger just slightly longer than what this will be. So somewhere in here. We'll go about right here for now. We can always cut it shorter if we want to. Okay, so we'll put that away. So again, we have these two pieces here, 1, 2. Now we need something we need some sort of notch that is going to allow this end to go into. So what I want to do is I'm going to take my wood. I'm going to actually cut this a little short. I don't like the way this end looks. It's not very clean. kind of a dirty end. I like everything real clean on my traps. So forget about that cut. Now let's go one more time. We're gonna make another notch just the same as what we made here. Same kind of 7 notch. So we're gonna go about halfway through the wood. About like that. And then we're gonna notch it out. Just like we did on that other piece. So if you were to look at the wood right now, you're going to have 2 pieces with a notch in the end. And these notches don't need to be like Gorilla Strong or anything. They just need to be clean. So you got 2 pieces of wood. So now we have our pole, we have our first piece, and now we have the notch that we just made that's going to fit right there. Okay, so now when we put downward pressure right here on the tip, it's going to make this piece want to go up. So what that does is that when this wants to go up, it catches on this other notch. And that's exactly what we want. So now when we hold this going down right here and we make it grab just as if we were going to set the trap, we'll get a measurement of where the trigger needs to be, which is about right here. So I'm going to take my knife and I'm just going to very lightly score a piece of wood right there and right here, because those are the areas where I'm going to need to cut my notches. So this one needs to be 90 degrees of this notch. So I need to turn the wood and look straight down, and I need to find my measurement again, which I believe was right there. I'll double check that again. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that looks perfect. So now I'm going to take this piece with my saw and I'm going to cut a notch. The same type of 7 notch that I've been cutting the whole time. About halfway through the wood. Don't go too deep. Only go about halfway. So I'm looking down and I think that'll do it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the relation here and I'm going 90 degrees of that. And I'm making this notch. And this is going to be one of the notches for the trigger. Okay, now let's put it all together again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now we need to find out what height we're going to make our other notch on our vertical board. So we got to get everything lined up. And I have the same notch, the same mark that I had just a second ago. It's going to be 90 degrees of this angle. So I'm going to set this piece right here. Bear with me. And I'm just going to give it a little cut. Halfway through. I know that there's people out there that do all kinds of different techniques. They use different notches and all kinds of I use the same notch on all of it and I've never had a problem. So now I'm going to push up from the bottom, but this time it's going to be a long push. Okay? Because this is my trigger and I want this to be a long, gradual notch. Twice as long if I can as the other notches. because we want a long, gradual trigger. The cool thing about why I make that first cut, that it's a stop cut. And it stops the wood from breaking the stick. And there ain't nothing over there. Quit. My dogs are growling. I think what it is they see cows. Now this is the actual trigger right here. And I went slightly deeper than halfway. I shouldn't have, but it'll be fine. Okay, I have one last thing that I need to do before I set this trap. I need to make the bait portion of the trigger sharp so that I could put like maybe a piece of meat or a piece of cheese or whatever I'm using for bait on here. So I'm going to make a nice point here. Nice sharp little point. Something like that. Doesn't have to be too crazy. It's better if you could do a long gradual point. So now let's take a look at this trap and let's see what it looks like. So I'm going to set my upright down. I'm going to set my top portion into the upright. Now I'm going to take my pointy end of my trigger going away, and these notches are all going to meet together. As long as I put downward pressure right here, this trap will stay together. Okay? Now, when the animal comes over here to the edge, starts messing with the bait, the trap is going to spring. Let me show you that one more time. 1, 2, 3, hook. Whoops. 3, hook. Right there. It's all together. Whoops. Because I'm putting downward pressure. 1, 2, there we go. Putting downward pressure right here where my thumb is. So again, here comes the animal messing around with the bait. Everything falls apart. I'm going to take you and show you this in action so you can see what it looks like in real time. But before I do that, I want to give you a quick glimpse, of these pieces up close. Okay, so here is the vertical piece. You can see that I have a vertical piece with a 45 on it. And then 90 degrees of that, I have this notch. So this is what the first piece looks like. Flat on the bottom here. The second piece that comes down off of that has the notch right here. This could be flat or angled, it doesn't matter. I just left it angled because remember I cut this piece here. So it goes in here and it fits like this. The end of this is flat. There's no notch or anything on the end of it. Okay, so we have two pieces with two similar notches. See that? Same 7 notch in both of those. Third piece is the trigger itself. We have 1 notch here on the end, and that's for this piece to rest in, right there like that. Then we have the trigger itself, which is a 7 notch, and that, when this is pushing forward, it pulls this catch against this stop. Okay, so it makes something that looks like this. It pulls it all together right here. Pulls it all together. So let's go take a look and show you it in action. So I have my deadfall weight here, and you can see that I have a small piece of wood and I kind of pounded it down into the ground. The reason for that is so that my stick doesn't sit here and just drill a hole. So I'm going to put my first stick here. I'm going to set my second stick here, and as I bring the deadfall weight down onto my second stick, kind of holding it with my body here, I'm going to set the trigger. So the trigger comes like this. Everything kind of comes together as I put the weight of the object on the trigger. Now this trap has a very hair trigger, so it doesn't take much to set it off. So as the animal comes around and they start poking around onto this bait stick, the idea is that the trap will fall and we will either kill the animal instantly, or the weight of the object being 3 to 5 times heavier than the animal, it'll pin him down and suffocate him to death, and hopefully we'll have food on the fire that night. So this is my figure 4 deadfall trap. I hope you got some good useful information out of this video. Please feel free to leave comments down below, like this video, share this video, and if you like the content that you see on my channel, please subscribe. I'd love to have you. And until next time, folks, have a beautiful day. Get out there and make yourself a deadfall trap. They work very well, very effective. Thanks for watching.